Just a few weeks ago, LinkedIn completed one of the biggest redesigns ever. And after experimenting with it for about 1 month, I thought it'd be interesting to share with you my findings on what's new and how can we take advantage of the new layout. First, I will walk you through the more interesting changes, and then I will explain you the link between the new interface and LinkedIn's strategy. Here is what you should know about the layout. LinkedIn launched a special library to brand their services across all devices, codenamed Art Deco, which is quite similar to what Google calls material design. They already started using it for their mobile and tablet apps since 2015, and because the desktop version has a lot more features, they've only chosen to roll it out now. A significant change for people familiar with the platform refers to the notification section. The previous version had very little real estate. It was basically just a pop-up, showing only the more interesting social interactions. In the new version, they allocated a whole new section for this and also included many more calls to action, such as birthday wishes and ads for connections with new positions. However, there are certain items that they discontinued, the most notable being the notification when somebody is sharing your newsfeed posts. More on this in the second part of this video. Search is one of the most advertised features on LinkedIn, for both good and less orthodox behaviors. The new version is more intuitive to use in the sense that you can now search by anything from one place. LinkedIn understood searching for people through filters is not the best approach, and I believe this is one of the main reasons they're no longer pushing in this direction. Next modification worth mentioning is the introduction of a new pop-up whenever you try to connect with somebody. This was done in order to emphasize the importance of a custom message when sending a connection request, and of course to fight the reflex of sending too many connection requests at once. On the profiles page we have good news. The ability to export our profile as PDF is back. Personally, I found the new way of organizing content to be quite interesting, and I strongly hope they'll start fixing their bugs too. An interesting addition is the automated suggestion for the text in your profile summary, and I found this one while documenting for the video, but since it doesn't seem to work in my case, maybe you can tell me how this worked out for your profile. And finally, the analytics. Last year, everyone advertised analytics to be the next great thing, so LinkedIn took note and made sure they would show us more numbers and insight in the new interface. For each of the posts in the newsfeed, they will automatically show us how many impressions that post received, and in one click they'll show what your audience looks like in terms of company position and location. They now advertise the number of profile views and the impressions on the last share directly on the homepage. And while these analytics sound fancy, there is a scientifically proven way to keep us hooked into the platform. Now make no mistake, LinkedIn is a professional networking website. And in business, events almost always happen for a reason. So then why would LinkedIn choose to take so much risk with a big release when they already have 95% of their features? And the simple answer to this is storytelling. Any social network today that wants to be successful must be incredibly good at storytelling. And we can take an example, Facebook, that pioneered their newsfeed. And we can take it even further with Instagram, that emphasized quality in their newsfeed by only advertising quality photos and videos more recently. Or we can also look at Twitter, that started as a hugely successful breaking news network that employed all the wrong means. They've chosen to employ automation as a mean to curate their content. We can also see the results of that operation. But going back to LinkedIn, how do they approach this storytelling capability? They actually have two features for this. First is their standard newsfeed that pretty much functions in the same way that Facebook's does, and with the new release also looks very much like the Facebook newsfeed. And the second component, and the more interesting one, is their publishing platform. And this is important because they see this content publishing method as the most effective way to satisfy all three use cases for which somebody would use LinkedIn. That is, to look for a job, to look for people, or to just advertise a product or a service. And during my 1 month experimentation with the new layout, I reached the conclusion that the main reason that LinkedIn has chosen to update their desktop interface is to emphasize their publishing platform. And there are three signals that help me reach this conclusion. The first is that since I regularly post on the newsfeed, I noticed a 45% decline in social interactions, which simply put means that 45% less people shared, liked, or commented on my content. The second signal comes from the notification section, which, as earlier mentioned, no longer tells you who shared your content. And as a side note, for a post to go viral, it must have at least one share for every 10 likes. By no longer telling us who shared our content, LinkedIn actually discourages virality to their newsfeed. And the third signal is a recent article in Forbes in which a senior LinkedIn staff member said that they hired more content editors in order to boost their content curation capability, which basically means that LinkedIn has a serious goal to be able to curate each and every article that goes through their content publishing platform. Which brings us to the conclusion. To a certain extent, building relationships to the internet requires a healthy amount of bluffing. And the toolkit to achieve this is pretty standard. That is text, images, sound, and video. And while most social networks have chosen the traditional way to use the newsfeed for this, LinkedIn has placed their bets on a seemingly more innovative way of doing things. So no matter if you are a recruiter or a job seeker or simply a marketer craving for some attention, the old way of advertising our wishes through the newsfeed will no longer cut it. The most efficient way to achieve our goals through LinkedIn today is by starting to publish our own articles.